When we first met, did you think that my voice was going to be this husky? I feel like it shocks people.
You look like someone who has a husky voice, though.
Do you reckon?
Yeah. So I think it was a lot huskier than I thought, though.
Yeah.
Just like, she's had a big night. I'm like, no, this is just her 24/7.
Yeah, that's what everyone says. Everyone's like, fuck.
Oh, rough one, hey? Yeah.
How many ciggies did you have last night? I've actually never had a cigarette before in my life.
I get told that all with my singing voice. They're like, oh, do you smoke? I was like, never smoked in my life.
Yeah, I've never smoked.
Yeah. And then I'm just like, sound like the guy from Creed when I sing.
Close to your curfew, so we'll go sing karaoke.
Welcome back. Today on the podcast, we have my amazing friend Mitch, aka Hazlett. Hazlett actually got his name from his middle name. His middle name is actually Hazlett, so Mitch Hazlett Lewis. Destined to be a star with a middle name like that, let's be real. Mitch is actually from Brisbane. He's living now in Sweden, unfortunately, but that's great for his creative flow. Mitch and I actually met when we were both in WA. He was visiting his sister in Perth, and I was actually I was actually working with Edwards & Co at the time, actually. And we were just following each other on Instagram, and he was like, do you want to go have a date? And we randomly went and had a date. He's got a beautiful, soft soul. He's so much fun to be around. We went on a really fun pub crawl, which you'll work out in the episode as well. But Mitch is a beautiful man. He's amazing at what he does. His feed, if you don't follow him on Instagram, you probably should. It's so well curated and thought out. He is just such a being, and he's got the quirkiest personality as well. He's just someone that I've just always admired and always know that when I'm around him, I'll be smiling. So I hope that you guys feel the exact same way after this podcast, and I hope that you enjoy it. Here we are with my good friend Mitch, or I should say Hazlett.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. Thanks for coming to the W Brisbane while I'm in town.
It's a pleasure to be here in my hometown at your hotel.
Even though you live in Sweden.
Yes.
Can you grab your phone for me?
Phone is here.
Well, so we like to kind of... Oh, you've listened.
Yeah, I've listened to a couple.
Yeah. So we like to start with like just something out of the phone, just as like a bit of an icebreaker.
Okay.
I feel like I'm not going to know any of your music, so let's not go to Spotify.
You don't like Walking in Memphis by Mark Cohen?
No, I do.
Oh, classic.
So let's go to your last text.
Last text is to my friend who's... We're having a barbecue today. Okay. And he's a sommelier, and I was asking him what wine he's bringing. So
he's a sommelier?
Yeah.
Shut up.
So we used to play drums. He played drums in the band with me back in the day. And now he left the band to go run restaurants and stuff because he really loved it.
Do you know that is like literally one job that I really want to do?
Yeah.
I reckon if you're a sommelier, that's like... I've always said to Mum, like, I'd love to go on a date with a sommelier, because could you imagine?
It'd be great.
It'd be so good.
But would it get annoying after a while, though?
Yeah, it might get annoying.
It's like, actually, I want a rosé. It's like, doesn't go well with the food. And
yeah.
you're like...
Actually, we're eating a steak. You should be having red.
No, he's really good with wines and stuff. So I was like, oh, if I bring over a Nebbiolo, is he going to roast me for what I bring? So I was just wanted to see, like...
So what is he bringing?
He hasn't written back.
Oh, okay.
So
right.
My last text with him was what time is he coming over? And then I was like, what wine are you bringing?
Yeah.
And then, yeah.
Yeah. So talk to me. Where's Hazlett? How was it originated?
The name?
Well, everything. Because you were in a band and now you've gone solo.
Yeah, I was in a band. The band broke up. I stopped doing music. I got a job at an advertising agency because I was like, okay, music didn't work out.
Yeah.
Time to do a big boy job.
Yeah.
And I was also dating a girl at the time who was like, maybe you should get a real job. And I was like, okay, cool.
Music is a real job, fucker.
Yeah. These things happen. And so I did that for a bit, and then I started playing in pubs and stuff just in the meantime to make a bit of extra cash, because when I started the advertising agency, I hadn't studied or anything, so it was an internship. And I was like, oh, I'm not really getting paid for this.
Yeah.
What can I do? I played bass. I guess I can learn guitar. I guess I'll try and sing. And then an old publisher, a friend of ours, saw like a YouTube cover that I recorded,
Yeah.
and he rang me. He's like, you didn't tell me you could fucking sing. Like, why are you doing this? And I was like, what? I was like, does he like my stuff, or is he
taking
hate
the
it?
piss?
Yeah. And he was like, why didn't you tell me? I was like, I can't sing. I'm just singing in pubs. I'm singing Wonderwall 6 times a night to like earn a couple $100 like. And he said he wanted me to come up to Sweden because he's based up there. He's originally from Australia.
Okay.
And he wanted me to come up to Sweden to record, and I was like, oh, I've got a real job now. I'm not really doing music.
I think maybe that's when. Did we meet when you were
I think
at
so.
the advertising? Maybe.
No, I think it was just after. It was when
Yeah.
I just went back to music, because after a while, me and this girl broke up, and I think my first 2 phone calls was to my mum, and then the second phone call was to this guy Hayden to be like, oh, you still want me to come up to Sweden and record music? And yeah, he hooked it up, and I met a couple of guys up there, and kind of I've been back and forth between Australia and there.
Yeah, for
ages now, and I moved up there more full time 2 years ago, and then
Yeah, the rest is history.
the rest is history.
And you love it.
Yeah, it's great.
I mean, you are the European boy. Like, look at you.
Thanks. You made me take my little lanyard wallet off. That was very European.
Yeah, I mean, you're very European.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That
And I
was
mean
the
that
goal.
that's a compliment.
Yeah.
Like, I love that. Like, the cute culturedness, you know.
Thank you. I'll take it.
Yeah, you should. So would you say that you've ever had like a moment that was like kind of like, wow, like, you know, those beautiful like moments when you're like, shit, I've made it, or like, I don't know, maybe it's people singing your song. I remember seeing a video on your Instagram, I think it was ages ago actually. You played a gig, well, it would have been ages ago because it was obviously well before COVID, and you played a gig somewhere in Europe, and everyone had like their lights on their phone. Like, is there a moment?
Hamburg.
Or was it Hamburg?
Hamburg.
Yeah.
It was the first time people have done a clap along to one of my songs,
Yeah.
and it completely like caught me off guard,
Yeah.
where I messed up the whole song.
Did you?
Yeah. They started clapping, and I was like, I just kind of got caught up in it, and I was like, we're gonna start this again, because I was just I stopped singing, and I was like playing out of time, because I was just like, what's happening? Like, what are these people like clapping along? They don't even know me. This girl gave me a rose after the show. And
Yeah,
I was
I
like,
remember that.
I was like, oh, this is so nice.
Yeah.
That was super fun. That was like the first time I think I'd won a crowd over.
Yeah.
Because like I play quite low key music, so it's not like I can show up on stage and just like stun people. It's like, hey, just a little bit of quiet, please, while I play this emotional song for you guys. So that was super nice. And then there's been other times, I think. I played a gig. I was in Norway at a festival, and I met Post Malone.
Yeah.
And that was the time where I was like, oh, nice.
That's pretty cool.
This feels cool. Played beer pong with him. I was on his team. Hit the winning shot.
You were?
Yeah.
Well,
great. My basketball.
you are the sportsman.
My
You love
basketball skills coming into hand.
Yeah. Exactly. That's pretty cool. Post Malone, that's pretty like major.
Yeah, it was strange because we were backstage and this van showed up. I knew he was playing, and just he came out all hunched over.
Oh, really? So he's like you.
Looking really, yeah. he's all hunched over. But he's like 6'4". Like he's a really tall guy, yeah.
Yeah.
He's really big. And he like came hunched over, and he had just a cup of orange juice in his hand, getting his vitamins in. And I was like, I don't want to approach him. Like, he looks like he's just been non-stop.
Yeah.
This is like around when Rockstar and stuff had come out. And then he went to his room and he came back out, and he's just the sweetest guy ever. And you can tell when you look at photos of him, he's got such kind eyes.
Yeah, he does.
I even showed my mum a photo of him. He's like, he looks like a sweetheart. I'm like,
Yeah.
which is weird with the face tattoos and everything.
Yeah.
And he was just like, oh, do you want to play beer pong? I was like, I'm down. I love basketball. I love beer pong. I'm in. And me and him teamed up against 2 other people, and we won. And then they all drew tattoos, threw them in a hat, and drew one out. And he had a tattoo artist that was just whatever.
That's sick.
So I think he got Bart Simpson tattooed on his palm.
Really?
While I'm sitting there, just
That's
like,
when you could have got your first tattoo. That would have been a really cool fucking moment.
it was.
Tattoos
I
with
missed out.
fucking Post Malone.
I missed out. Oh well.
Yeah, that would have been a good time. You
Oh.
could have. I mean, I don't know what was in that hat. There would have been some awful
There was some
tattoos.
bad because it was just people doodling.
Yeah. Oh fuck.
Like the
nah.
Bart Simpson wasn't a Bart Simpson. It was somebody's shit interpretation of a Bart Simpson. And he's getting it right then. He said that's the most painful tattoo he's ever had.
Really?
Yeah.
Mine's on my foot, like that one there. I
can imagine that would kill.
Yeah. It's actually not finished because it got to a point where I was like, cannot deal. It's so
Wow.
sore. Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. You know. wanted it to look like permanent, like lipstick or marker, and I feel like definitely now it does because it's not finished.
It's like, oh, you got something on your foot there, B.
Some sort of love heart.
Oh my God.
And would you say that there's been anything that has been like a terrible moment in time on stage, off stage that you've learnt from? Like, you know.
I wouldn't say on stage. I don't think I've had any bad things happen on stage. I mean, I've had a guitar break and stuff like that, but
Yeah. But
that's you get through that. But I'd say like off stage, it's been a while since touring, but touring, it really is like an art form to touring, especially on long tours and things like that. The people that you have with you on the tour, if you have a weird group of people, touring just sucks.
Yeah.
It's like having a dinner party with the wrong guest and you're like, oh.
Get out of my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, we have like 4 weeks left together and like this many shows to hang out. And so I think that was probably the biggest lesson. But like I also got into music really late. So I did a lot of touring when I was young in a band.
Yeah.
So I think that teed me up for touring now that I'm like, okay, I learned all this back in the day that I can apply now.
Yeah.
But I think that's the biggest thing that I learned, which was like hard when you're touring with the wrong people.
Why were you touring with bad people at one point?
Yeah, but there's so much drama that goes on the tour. Like I've gone on support act tours and stuff like that, and I've had, you know, the band that I was opening for like complain that I wasn't good enough to open for them and things like that.
What?
Yeah, and it was like, because I manage myself as well, all the information comes back to me directly.
Yeah.
So it's just like, I was like, oh.
Do you have a alias email?
Yeah, I use my own email, but I go by the manager Dan.
Dan.
Yeah, Dan is
All
my
secrets
manager.
out.
Yeah. I've stopped using that. I feel like the past year I've stopped using Dan, but for a while I was running as Dan, and then people would want a phone call with Dan.
Oh no.
And I was like, oh, actually, Hazlett's happy to talk directly, so I'll just give him a call directly, and he'll be fine. I'm like,
what the hell?
yeah, but it's like you don't want to like negotiate a rider or a fee for a gig as the artist, because you're always going to come across like a dick if you do that.
Yeah.
Like you'd rather have someone be the
you
bad
obviously
cop.
negotiating 100%. You'd feel like such a weirdo negotiating for yourself.
Yeah, and I've had like a couple managers that just didn't work, so I was like, I'll just manage myself for a while.
Yeah, and you're that kind of guy. You're very like, I don't even know what the right word is.
Managerial?
No, well you are, because you love a curated feed.
Yeah.
You're very particular about your aesthetic.
Mm.
And I feel like you'd be very particular about your aesthetic in music as well. Like in terms of like business, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think I've noticed that with a couple of my friends who the guys who run the label in Sweden.
Yeah.
They look after me, and we've had so many conversations of them getting to know exactly what I like, because I'm like, I want to take my hands off. I don't want to manage myself. It's too
it's too much.
Yeah, it's too difficult to like do that as much as like I've tried.
Well,
You'd rather someone who knows you inside out and is just like you and Dina.
Yeah.
Like you want someone who's there who just knows exactly what they want or exactly
and
what
you kind of know how they think.
Yeah.
Like even yesterday with Dina, like I just know. Like I'm always like 2 steps ahead of her.
Like she needs water.
Yeah.
That when she does the left eye,
When
water.
she twitches, that's water. When it's the right, that's tequila.
When it's both, doctor.
Yeah.
Get a doctor here.
If she pauses, doctor.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, you do have one of the most beautifulest feeds I've ever seen.
As do you,
Oh, thank you.
which is how we connected.
Yeah, it was how we connected. But your feed, like honestly, I'm you with your content. Some of the things that you create with those little videos, I don't even know where you get this stuff from. Like some of the
Which
pieces,
videos?
huh?
Which videos?
Like you'll put up all these beautiful videos, and it will be like people kissing in a park, or I don't even know where you get these videos from.
I love that stuff.
I know you do,
Yeah.
and I love it too. Like I'm such a romantic, and you fucking somehow, I don't know, you make me like. I watch your videos and like it makes me want to like fall in love. I reckon.
That's good.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I'm
But
trying
like,
to put
where
out
do you
there.
even get it from?
I used to just rip a lot of stuff. And then I found that I really can't do that. I can't rip
Why?
from old like romantic movies because I feel like it's illegal and taking IP and things like that.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But like, so I started filming a lot more of that stuff. I was like, I need to find things like this or a lot of the what's it called when it's open copyright stuff?
Isn't it just
Public domain.
Oh yeah.
Public domain footage and things like that. But yeah, I just started collecting that. I have like hard drives filled with random
like
clips and things.
Yeah, right. Because I remember reaching out to you one day being like, where did you get this? Because, like, I love, like, one of my favorite things to do on Instagram is make a reel.
Yeah.
Anyone follows me, they fucking know it. Because I love creating all that. Like, I feel like I'm a videographer for a day.
Yeah.
And I feel like you just nail it. I love it.
It's
love
so
your feed.
it's so quick now. I love all the reels and things like that of people doing. It feels really self-entitled to be like, oh, I'm going to do a vlog of my day.
Yeah.
But they are really fun way to catch up on what people are up to. Like you going to the festival yesterday, like, oh, quick vlog. I mean, I'm not sure how many videos of that you want to let out into the world, but like having just like quick
Definitely
flashing
not.
footage and things like that. But I think that came from the graphic designer side of me. I just love finding the right font or right color schemes to go together.
Yeah.
Which sounds really wanky, but
no,
I
because
like
you
it.
always do have really cool font over it as well. Like if you put like little writing or lyrics or whatever you put over your videos.
I spend so long adjusting fonts and things like that. I'm
Yeah,
like, is
I
anyone
can
going to
imagine.
notice? Is anyone going to notice this? Really?
No, because I'm kind of the same with like attention to detail, and I feel like you're on point with those things as well.
Yeah.
So it's just it's nice seeing a man actually care about stuff like that.
Thanks.
You know?
Yeah,
Oh,
really
you're
appreciate
welcome.
it.
I'm just glad that you your feed is one of the nicest things for me to look through. So
I'll take it.
just a compliment for you.
Yeah, I'll leave that as a review on my next show.
Yeah. I'll put that on Yelp
Yeah,
for you.
thank you. 1-star review.
And how do you like if you're on the road? Like, how do you stay balanced? Because you're like you're a bit of an advocate for mental health and meditation and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think I was always I grew up a lot being the mum of like all my friends and things like that. So I was always like the centered, like grounded guy that looked after everyone. And then
You're having a tea while they're having a beer.
Yeah, at least a beer. And I found after a while, it's like I missed out on a lot of my early 20s just being a mum. That it's like, then when I reached my mid to late 20s, I was like trying to relive my early 20s again, being like, oh, I want to get out and party and things like that. And then I think now I've kind of found myself being a bit late to like, I thought I was very balanced, and now I'm kind of like uncovering the facts that like, I'm a little bit like a little depression and things like that I didn't deal with, that I'm kind of uncovering now, which is like the past 12 months has been probably the worst 12 months, but like also good in a way that I've really found out a lot more about myself.
yourself.
And I was like, because I was like, oh, I'm the guy who gives people advice and helps out people.
Yeah.
And then the past 12 months I've been like, okay, I need advice and I need a bit of help. So
yeah, this has been the exact same thing for me this year.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, that's not me. I'm like, I don't need help. Like,
Yeah.
I'm all good. I'm pretty strong, like mentally. But especially moving up to Sweden for 12 months, I was in an apartment by myself for basically the past year.
Yeah.
That I was always like, oh, I'm a very solitude kind of guy. Like, I love my alone time and I don't really need people. But the more that I've done that, like, you're the same. You like your solitude as well. But it's like, the more I did that, the more I realized how much you actually do need people. Like, you do need that injection of energy coming around. And that's basically, the past 12 months been figuring out the balance of that, which I don't think I've had right for a while. So it's nice getting into that. I don't know what you'd say. Just a balance of socializing, which has been hard for everyone in the past 12 months, is like not socializing. And then trying to learn how to do it again.
Yeah, no, because like now I get really exhausted. Like what I was saying to you earlier, like I get so exhausted now, like catching up with people.
And I think like, I was like, oh, something must be wrong. I must be sick or something. And I was talking to my mum. I called her one day when I was in Sweden. I was pretty upset.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm just so run down and tired at the moment. And she kind of put it really bluntly. She was like, think about the past 12 months has been exhausting, even if you don't think it's exhausting. Like, even if you've led a pretty non-lockdown life or COVID-free life, it's like, it's still been in the back of your head of like fight or flight, running away from a pandemic. It's like, of course, everyone's tired right now.
Yeah,
like,
for
of course, everyone's drained. And of course, like, people are nervous anytime they do something. You go to the shops, you're like,
Well, I mean, yeah, totally. I mean, it's just so drilled into our into our lives now. I'm just so ready for it to be done, but I'm just not sure if we're gonna have like a normal life.
Oh, every time you open your phone, case numbers.
Yeah,
case
I know.
numbers.
I know.
Oh, here's the case numbers for today.
I know.
Are you scared yet? Case
Yeah.
numbers. It's like, oh, come on.
And if you like, would you have a backup plan like ever? If you, I mean, I guess it's always been there. But if say if it went away for a day, or a year or forever, what would you do?
Yeah, music like became my backup plan, which
Yeah.
is weird. I went music,
So
real
you've
job,
done the
and then
opposite.
back to the backup plan of music. I joke around with my friends though, because a lot of people I grew up in the Brisbane scene with who stopped doing music and other bands, I kept doing it, and I kind of reached the age where it's like, well, I've been doing it for so long now, I can't really do anything else.
Yeah.
I can't really go
I
anywhere
can't
else.
imagine you doing anything else.
I'd love to be.
I could imagine maybe actually you be a creative director or something
Really?
for music,
I thought
but
about that.
like what am I trying to say? Like the creative outlook, like
Yeah.
that would be your domain. You executing and making sure that everyone's doing the way that you need to visually see something. You know what I mean?
I think I'd like to be a physio.
Oh, random.
No, I'd love to do the creative thing, but I feel like helping. I love helping other people do the creative stuff, like getting their projects out there.
Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of people slide into my DMs all the time asking for advice, and I love spending time helping people, like, you know, help their creativity get out there,
Yeah.
or even working with new artists and like helping them try and find their sound and things like that. But I also like have this old jock sports side to me
Yeah,
that I'm
you
like,
really do.
I think sports science and stuff is so interesting that I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, being a physio might be nice, or being like a nutritionist, like health
Yeah,
kind of person.
Yeah, because you're the basketball guy.
I'm a basketball guy.
You are the basketball guy.
The amount of time, like, it's funny, especially with touring, like
Yeah.
the amount of random courts I've played basketball, like around the world.
With
is-
people?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get on the internet and you can find people, like local courts that people
Oh,
play at.
really?
Like I have a
Like-
group of people in Sweden that I play with, like, in West Hollywood with a few people. Played
Yeah.
down at Venice Beach.
Yeah, I remember seeing that all over your stories when you were playing basketball in Venice and stuff.
Yeah, I ran into a few trouble
Yeah.
times there.
Did you?
Yeah, I used the C word once. When I
Oh,
was
yeah,
playing
they
there.
don't like the C word over
Americans
there.
do not like the C word.
No, they do not
And
like the C word.
They kept calling me Jesus when I was playing. And this guy approached me and he was like, "What did you say to me?" And in my head, I was like, okay, I'm either honest and he really appreciates my honesty and doesn't
Yeah.
fight me, or I lie
Yeah.
and he may leave me alone. And then he started walking towards me, and suddenly this
You're
guy.
like, I'm going to get bashed.
Yeah, I was just like, I said you guys were a bunch of C words. Sorry. And then he started walking towards me, and suddenly this guy standing on the sideline eating a bag of peanuts.
Random.
Just yelled at. He's like, "Yo, did that guy just call you a bunch of C words?" And I was like, he's like, "That's hilarious," and just started laughing, and it just completely like cut the tension in the air. This guy laughing on the sideline that I used the C word.
I mean, surely Americans know that it's huge part of our language. Like in Australia, it's just Australian slang.
Yeah.
And it is offensive, 100%, but it kind of is just slang.
Yeah, I get way too competitive playing basketball.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, obviously. You were really
he's like,
letting
plays
that one.
chill acoustic music and then drops C bombs on
Yeah.
the basketball
on the,
court.
bos- on the basketball court. Hilarious. Oh well, only in Venice.
Yeah, good times.
Do you have a great, what's your best travel story? Well, tour story.
Best tour story.
Obviously not C-bombs.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't getting in fights playing basketball. I'd say I went to Paris once on a riding trip, which was super nice, and I stayed near Moulin Rouge and Montmartre or whatever it's called.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like so uncultured. I'm like Montmartre. Say it in a French accent, it might be right.
Totally. You've been watching too much Emily in Paris.
Yeah, I really have. I gotta stop watching that. Yeah. But I stayed there, and I was always like, Paris isn't this big romantic city. Surely it's not like all it's cracked up to be, and that place is just amazing.
Oh my God, Paris is one of my favorite cities in the world.
I woke up every morning and ran up to that big church on the hill.
Yeah.
And you just see people still sitting on the steps of this thing drinking red wine at 6 a.m.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow. And you just walk down the streets and you're like, I want to write about everything here. It's
Yeah.
no wonder every creative person back in the day went to this city.
Yeah.
Every poet,
And don't
every
you think
writer.
watching Emily in Paris too, it makes you want to just live there?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm like,
World's shittest show. The acting is awful, but also so addictive. I don't
It's-
understand.
yeah, you're like, I can't move here on a musician budget. But
Yeah.
say if I came into some money, sure, I'd go live in Paris for a little bit. It'd
Yeah.
be great.
So what is the story to that?
No, it's just
Paris?
that. It's just existing in there.
Yeah.
It's just so you really like, oh, City of Love is such a lie. And you go there, you're like, this is the City of Love.
Yeah,
like,
it
You
is.
understand, like, you have to, it's one of those places you have to go to and just walk around the streets.
Yeah.
And it's unlike anything else.
Yeah, it really is. That city, I think I could easily live there, and definitely in Barcelona.
I've never been to Barcelona.
Oh, babe, I'm obsessed with Barcelona.
I was obsessed with your Greek photos when you went to the Greek islands.
Oh, yeah, I do love some
and
Greece.
I was like, oh, maybe next year I'll go to the Greek islands.
This is why I think I should move to London for, I can zip over there anytime I want. But then would I be fully depressed in December?
You would be. But
Yeah.
that was always my plan moving to Europe, is Europe during most of the year and then come home to Australia for summer.
Yeah.
Because I can't deal with 3 hours of sunlight and minus 17 in Sweden for December, January.
Fuck no. Can anyone?
Well, they seem to get by.
Yeah, but they're used
like,
to
we get
that.
super productive in the winter. I was like,
What?
I'm planning what I'm going to eat for dinner at 2 p.m. because it's dark outside.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know how you get anything done here.
What time does the sunrise and sunset?
It'll be like 10:30, 9
AM.
o'clock. That's like peak winter. It'll be like 10 a.m. And then it'll go down like 2:30, 3 o'clock.
That's fucked.
Yeah. And you're like, oh, the day's over, guys. I might pack it up for
Yeah.
the day. And then like, oh, you just stay and work. If you just stay in the studio, it's always dark. And you're like, that's so depressing to think about.
Yeah, that's so depressing.
Yeah.
So would you say that, have you got any other stories that would be your best touring stories? Any wild things that have happened? Probably not with your with your folky fan base.
I was the old folk music crowd doesn't get too wild. I played a festival in New York.
Yeah.
And that was, I wrote a song called Karaoke.
Yeah.
Not sure if you've heard it. I'll probably send it to you once and be like, hey, do you like this? Please tell me you like it, Bianca. And that was a pretty wild story where I played this show. My friend just happened to be in town from Australia.
Yeah.
He was like, hey, do you want to go out to dinner tonight, have a quiet dinner, just lay low? I was like, yeah, cool, let's go. We went to Italy and went and got some food, and he gets a text message.
Yeah.
And he looked up at me and he had just this like shit-eating grin on his face. And I was like, what was that? And he's like, do you want to go catch up with Lindsay Lohan?
Shut up.
And I was like, I love Mean Girls. Yes, please. Can we go catch up with Lindsay Lohan? So we pull up.
When was this?
This was
this after kind of like her mental breakdown or whatever that?
I'm not too
she
sure. I was
had?
never very clued in on the timeline of Lindsay Lohan's.
Oh, it was all over Instagram.
Okay.
Yeah, it was a real moment that you've obviously missed.
I think it might have been before.
Yeah,
she
right.
was dating a Middle Eastern prince or something at the time.
Okay.
So we pulled up to this hotel. We went up to her room, knocked on her door. She opened it. She was wearing a towel.
What?
She was like, I told you I wasn't ready yet. And I'm like, oh, nice to meet you. I'm like, oh, sorry, we'll wait downstairs. She was like, there's a black Escalade waiting out the front. I was like, okay. She's like, just go sit in that and wait for me. So me and my friend just walked down. I was like, what is happening? This is
so weird.
I'm like, just along for the journey, because like he knows these people. So I'm like,
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh, cool.
I'm so intrigued.
Yeah. So we get in the car. She comes down, jumps in the car, talks in a variety of different accents, which is very confusing.
Really?
Yeah. And I was wearing a cheap H&M shirt. She ripped me for fast fashion, which was bad. Anyway, I got to know her. She was quite lovely.
Yeah.
And her prince boyfriend got in the car as well, and her sister. And we went to this fancy bar on a rooftop. We were there for maybe 20 minutes. They had like a booth and everything. And after that, they were like, oh, let's just go. I was like, oh, but this is like such a bougie club, like looking out over New York.
We've been here for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
We've
they're like,
barely had an
like, do you want to
appetizer.
go to Chinatown and go to karaoke? And I was like, I'm down. Let's go. I hate karaoke, but I'm down for to go to karaoke with these people.
Yeah, totally.
So we get
I
there,
hate karaoke too.
and they're like, everyone has to pick a song. And I was like, oh, what's a good song that people love? That's an easy sing. I was like, Dancing in the Dark, Bruce Springsteen.
Yeah.
Done. Cue it up. Songs are ticking over. It's my time to get up. I get the microphone. I'm about to walk up on stage and sing Dancing in the Dark, Bruce Springsteen. And Lindsay Lohan snatches the microphone out of my hand. And she's like, you can't sing that song.
Why?
I was like, why? She's like, that's my song. And just looked me dead in the eyes. I was like, just gave her the microphone. And she skipped the song and went to another song.
You're kidding.
Yeah. Anyway, the song, I wrote the song about this night out, and my friend got progressively more drunk, and I had to take him home, and he threw up in a cab, and
Oh shit! I'll have to listen to this song.
yeah, it's a real story, real whirlwind
Yeah.
story. This one.
I know. I remember when we met in Perth, and I asked you to write a song about me.
Yeah,
I wanted to be a muse for a red hot second.
I feel like you tell that to everybody though.
No, I don't. I've only ever said that to you.
You don't want a dance music song about you? You'd
I
rather
mean,
a folk song.
Well, I'd rather a romantic
Yeah, it's a
song.
bit more romantic folk songs.
You know, and I feel like you would have like a romantic song.
It was
We
still
went
gonna
on,
work.
babe. We went on like the most randomest date across
was.
all those different bars,
It was.
drinking in all these
Our first,
different.
our first time we met was a date, and it was just like, cool. We're both in Perth. Cool.
Let's go on a date.
Yep, sounds good.
Yeah, so good.
What do we have? We had a bet on something.
We had a bet of
Of the over under of how many girls would be in that bar, a sports bar.
the sports bar that we were
Yeah.
drinking in,
And
and then whoever lost had to do shots.
tequila.
Yeah, it was you.
Your favorite.
You lost.
Yeah, and I hate tequila.
Yeah, I chose the spirit, the
Oh my
deadly
God.
spirit. And would you say that you've got a? Do you reckon you've got a life motto?
Yeah, my friend gave me a birthday card when I was 18 that says everything happens for a reason on it.
That's your life motto.
And I think it's so cheesy,
Yeah.
but I keep it in my guitar case.
Do you?
Yeah, for my 18th birthday, it stays in my guitar case all the time.
That's a bit cute and sentimental.
Yeah.
Very Hazlett.
Thank you. But I think it's so true. It's like people ask, "Oh, do you have a big regret in your life?"
Yeah.
And my immediate reaction is always getting into music late.
Yeah.
Because I didn't start singing till I was 25, 26 or something.
Yeah.
And then I kind of just remind myself, I'm like, oh, if I sung earlier, maybe I would have quit music earlier and not kept going. Like
Yeah.
I probably fell into music at the right time at 25, 26 and had stories to write about from like.
Yeah, like maybe you wouldn't have had anything to write about back then because you weren't really.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
I think it's good to remind yourself that everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. You know, I was watching yesterday The Intern on the plane.
Great.
Love
Great
that
movie.
movie. Oh, what was it? It's like at the end, and he's like, well, near the end, and it's at the very, very start. Sorry, it's at the very, very start, and he's like, I once read that musicians don't stop music; they stop when they've got nothing else to write or sing about.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, I love that. That's so cute.
It's I think that with like the EPs that I've done, I'm like I spent my whole life writing my first EP,
Yeah,
and then it's like 12 months to write the next one.
yeah,
And then you wonder why people struggle with follow-ups. It's like, well, you have such a short amount of
Yeah.
time to get inspiration for the next
Well, I
one.
mean, the Flight Facilities album that they just brought out, that took 7 years.
Yeah.
Like,
But I think that's a lot of that information is getting shared around now, which is super nice
Yeah.
that people have somehow confused media cycle culture with art culture. And it's like music is art. It's like
yeah,
you're expected to put a song out and you have to follow it up in 4 weeks because you got to keep people's attention. It's like if you're making good art, you should actually spend the time you need
yeah,
to like get good stuff together and get good inspiration together. It doesn't need to be. People have got confused between
Yeah.
media and art. I think
Yeah.
is the big thing.
yeah. I agree. I mean, yeah, you shouldn't rush it
Yeah.
either because I feel like then you're going to be putting something out that you're not obviously too happy with.
And it depends what
And-
kind of artist you are as well. Like
Yeah.
if you want to be part of the content cycle, that's good. People are really good at doing that.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, if you want to be part of like an art cycle, you have to just know when to be able to switch off or not be scared to take time off
Yeah,
and like just soak up some things for new music.
yeah. So I had a shower thought the other day.
Is that a usual thing?
Well, yeah, I feel like I have all my great thoughts while
Okay.
I'm driving or in the shower. But I had a shower thought the other day. If you, and like this is something that I am so genuinely want to know from every single person that I speak to now. If you had like a soundtrack for your life,
Yeah.
what do you think that it would be?
The Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Really?
Yeah. Have you ever listened to it?
Not really.
When people ask me the whole, you can take one album away to a deserted island,
Yeah.
Forrest Gump soundtrack.
Oh, one.
Because you think about the movie Forrest Gump,
Yeah.
it goes through so many eras.
Yeah.
I mean, you start off with Elvis Presley, Hound Dog, and then you go through the 70s with Creedence Clearwater Revival, and I
Wow,
love all
you
that
know,
stuff.
you know this fucking soundtrack back to front.
It's because I had it growing up. I actually had a burnt copy that I think I ripped off like
Yeah.
Kazaa or LimeWire
Oh my
or
god, they were the
something.
days, weren't they, when
Yeah.
you burned CDs?
And then I even printed out the Forrest Gump artwork and put it into a plastic CD.
Really?
And then my mum got the actual soundtrack for Christmas one year.
Wow.
And it's a double CD as well. So,
Is it?
Yeah.
My first ever CD was a double CD, and I remember going,
What
oh
was
my
it?
God.
Ministry of Sound.
No, Michael Jackson.
Ah, classic.
Ministry of Sound. This guy thinks that all I do is listen to dance music.
I think you wake up with your morning coffee and you're just like doof-doofing.
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
You know when they do that Unwrapped with Spotify?
Yeah.
I remember once, I think it was last year maybe, it was like, no one listens to electronic house
More than you.
more than you at 5 a.m. or something. And I remember going, what the fuck? That is so me. It's because it pumps me up when I'm going to Pilates. 5 a.m. I'm like, fuck yeah. Dieting. Let's put it on.
I'm
My
such
aunt
an
will-
emotional music person.
No,
at the
you
gym.
are.
I'll be on the treadmill listening to Scientist, Coldplay, or like Adele.
Oh, I do love Scientist Coldplay.
Because when I feel like I have to quit, I'm like, I'll just start crying and keep running.
Yeah.
You're like so depressing. It's like you live such a depressing life. What's wrong with you?
I just want things. Maybe I should be taking a leaf out of your book. Maybe I should be listening to things that are really like low key to like bring me down.
Maybe I should pump myself
Maybe
up more.
you should listen to
Okay.
my like pump up.
Okay. Sounds good. We'll trade playlists.
Yeah, we'll trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So that would be your playlist.
Yeah, that soundtrack is great.
Okay, well I'll have to give it a run. You know what
You
I
won't,
thought
I don't know
about?
if you'll like it.
Well, do you know what soundtrack I thought about it the other day?
What?
That is actually fucking great. Matilda the movie.
Oh,
Great playlist. Oh, sorry,
That-
soundtrack.
what was the I'm on my way by I forget the band.
Yeah.
The one where she's moving all the stuff
yeah,
around.
yeah,
but
yeah.
Great song.
Great song. Great movie.
That's
Fucking
a
love
great
that.
morning song.
Yeah.
To really wake up in the morning.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be able to move the curtains with waving your finger, but
Yeah,
at least
no,
the
that would be
song,
cool
yeah.
though if I could. What do you have coming up?
Like we were talking about with the art cycle, I spent the past 12 months doing an album.
Yeah.
So,
Oh yeah, February.
yeah, and originally in my head, because I dropped an album an EP mid 2020,
Yeah.
and my biggest fear, because it did pretty well, ish, I think.
Yeah.
It got picked up a few places, and
I feel like you were playlisted a lot.
yeah, I got playlisted on like Coffee and Chill and a lot of those
Yeah.
chill playlists.
Yeah, the chill
I'm
playlist.
the chill guy now.
Yeah.
But my biggest fear was to not have something else come out like within 12 months.
Yeah.
And so, mid 2021, I was like stressing out. I'm like, it's been 12 months since my EP. I'm going to fall off the radar. I really need to get something out. And I just had to remind myself, like, just keep making this album until it's ready. So
Yeah.
me and Freddie, my producer up there, we spent 12 months just putting this album together. So I think we had about 15 songs and we're cutting it down to about 12 at the moment.
Yeah, that's good.
And yeah, it's a lot of focus on all the little details. So I'm kind of over getting scared that it's taking too long. Now
Yeah.
I'm just like, it's just make it the best that it can be, and that'll be it.
And that'll be it.
Yeah, so I think first song will come out Feb. Which you've heard,
I have.
and even you like it.
I do.
The dance music queen likes
Yeah.
it.
I do like
Okay.
it.
We'll have to
I
get
know
it.
when I sent you that back, I was like, I like it. You were like, wow, I'm gonna roll with
I was
this.
like, that's a big compliment from you. I like it. I was like, yes,
Yeah.
I'm in.
No, it is great.
It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good year. Good on you. I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming to the W.
It's a pleasure to be at the W.
Yeah. It could be a better day, but that's okay.
It's all right. We're inside. We're in the aircon.
Yeah, we're in the aircon, in the
Staying
AC.
away from Brisbane humidity, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, exactly. Well, thanks for coming here.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. Thanks so much for listening, guys. We will link the artist, Instagram, and Spotify in our show notes. Please like and subscribe and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube to stay up to date with your favorite artists. We'll see you next week, Side Stage.